Hi everyone, this is Rachel from activerachelanne, and today I wanted to talk to you about how to get better balance in your life. These are going to be 9 tips on how to be calm and grounded and how to achieve a little bit better balance throughout your life. So there's usually 2 main areas where you're unbalanced in life: internal factors and external factors. So internal factors can be like your mind, intellectual level, your heart, emotions, and health, like how are you eating and taking care of your body. External factors are more like friendships, socializing, fun, work, activities, those types of things. So when I say internal and external, that's what I mean. So tip number 1 is all about acknowledging, just admitting the fact that maybe things are just a little off kilter or unbalanced in your life. That is where it starts. And I know a lot of us might feel like they don't know why they're overwhelmed inside, but they just have this feeling of like irritability or rage or just not feeling like they're doing good enough or well enough. And a lot of that just comes from being unbalanced. Tip number two is examine. So look within yourself, stop, clear your mind, sit down and think about these internal and external factors and find areas in which you feel things are unbalanced. Again, be honest with yourself. Write yourself a list. It could be that you're not drinking enough water, or you feel like with this COVID-19, you're stuck in the house and you have no choice to be outside socializing with friends. But just get a list together and kind of examine that list and get some ideas of where you want to have better balance. Tip number 3 is to set goals. So think about those different internal and external factors that we talked about earlier. So for instance, if it's love, are you needing love or do you need to give love? If it's mind, are you looking to become smarter or more intellectual on a certain topic? Or do you need to give that teaching to someone else? And then also externally with work, are there projects or things that you want to take on, goals that you want to accomplish? Or is it that you need to back off work because you're overconsumed by work? So just kind of sit down and get some goals scheduled on your paper. Number 4 is to make tasks. So reflect on what has worked for you in the past. Did it help or did it not help? And then how do you want to change things going forward? So for instance, if it's intellectual and you want to gain something intellectually, then what steps are you going to do to make that happen? Do you need to take a class, go to college, get some books to read? If it is socially and you want to hang out with your friends and hang out with them and love them because you feel kind of lost in this COVID-19, what kind of strategy are you going to use to make that better? So write these things down. Do you need to call your friends, Skype with them, make a date that's 6 feet apart from each other so you guys can hang out? These are things that you need to find not only where the deficit is, but find a way to fix the problem. Tip number 5 is to reflect. So think about a specific area in your life where you accomplished a goal in the past, you were able to complete what you needed, and what brought you to that point. What things got in the way? What obstacles did you run into, and how did you handle those so that you can be successful in the future going forward? So for me, for instance, going to nursing school was a huge challenge for me. There's the board examination that is given to each nurse. And if you pass, you're a registered nurse. If you fail, you need to take the test over again. So my first time taking the test, I failed. So I had to come up with a quick plan on how I was going to pass it the second time. And for me, it was just really understanding where my downfalls were, what I didn't know and didn't feel strong about in certain areas or topics of nursing. And then I studied my pants off in those areas. And I was very focused. I shut the door to my office and just studied 8 hours a day like it was my job. And then when it was time to retake my test, I passed. And I passed like amazingly well. So it is possible, but we just have to kind of figure out and reflect how did it work in the past and how we can make it be successful in the future. Tip number 6 is to prepare. So what type of self-negative talk does your mind think about that will get in your way and sabotage you from being successful? So know yourself well enough to know how you're going to get in your way, because sometimes we're the worst people that get in our own way from being successful. So think through all of those sentences that you may say to yourself, like, oh, if it's weight loss, one more bite won't hurt. I'll start again tomorrow. Or I'll wait 2 weeks and then I'll go crazy in the next 2 weeks. And then 2 weeks from today, I am going to start. I'm going to make my plan. So be ahead of the game. Think about the excuses you're already going to tell yourself so that you are prepared. Number 7 is to empower yourself. So what are you going to do in those times when you're trying to self-sabotage yourself? So what are you going to say to overcome the excuses you know are coming from your head and from yourself to still be successful? So think of, like, being kind to yourself, knowing that this is nobody else's journey but your own. It's okay to make a mistake, but tell yourself that you want to get this completed. You want to be successful. So you have to come up with those list of things to tell yourself when you want to put an excuse in the way. When you want to put an obstacle there, what would you say to move that obstacle so that you can be successful? So not only be aware of the excuses you will give yourself, but also be aware of how you're going to overcome those excuses so that you can still move forward and be successful. Number 8 is to connect. So find someone or some way to help you stay on track, or to help keep you motivated and accountable. So for instance, I have these 2 little lines on my face. They're the 11 lines. And when I am deep in thought or thinking just ever so directly into what I'm doing, I'll furrow my brow. And my husband, who I've told him in the past few years, please tell me when I'm doing this because I don't want those wrinkles there. So he will interrupt whatever I'm doing, my thought, my saying, my speech, whatever it is, and he'll just kind of point here and try to help me to smooth them out. So that is my way of getting off that bad habit and that bad pattern and changing it around. And my husband is my support person in that. Same with when I am working as a nurse. I need a person that I can vent to with some of the frustrations that go on, because us nurses can't just take on all of the stress that the patients give us, because we also then have bubble up stress. So we have to give that off to someone else. And so a lot of times us nurses will vent to each other. And so having that support person, being able to vent with them, will help us not take that frustration home to our family. Just having that support person there is so important. Number 9 is to plan. So basically, just know that anytime you start something new or you're trying to change things in your life, it doesn't happen overnight. They say 21 days is a good time to create a good habit, but I'm going to push that and say, let's go even further, longer than that. Let's give it 3 to 4 months. How do you stay on plan? Like sometimes we have all these good intentions like New Year's Eve, and then within a week, we throw all those thoughts and ideas right out the window. So keep yourself grounded. Write these things down in a paper or in a book, in a calendar, in a place you'll see them. Maybe even do one of those those boards on the wall that have the pictures. I made one. I can't even remember what it's called. But it's constantly in my view, and I know that I'm working towards a better me. And in this case, I'm working to be more balanced, and I'm working to have less stress and feel more in control of my life. And so by constantly keeping those things in the front of my mind will help me to remember my goal and help me to achieve balance. All right. I hope this helped. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. We will see you next week. Tune in to iTrackBites live meetings every Tuesday night with Jordan Clyde. He is one of the iTrackBites ambassadors, and you can see him on the Facebook page, which is iTrackBites. It starts at 8:30 Central Standard Time, and I will see you guys next week. A little disclaimer. The previous information you just heard I found online in an article that was titled How to Create a Balanced Life, 9 Tips to Feel Calm and Grounded by Jasmine Tangeloff. So most of the opinions through this video are my own. I just wanted that to be known that that is where I found the outline of my discussion.